Hello there. It's the newspaper review here on TAF TV. Of course, this is where we analyze and dissect trending and catchy headlines. We pick up different stories on the newspaper dailies and get to discuss them with people. We are the streets of Port Harcourt at a newspaper stand precisely, where we analyze and interact with people, newspaper readers, about what is happening in Nigeria in general. It's weekend. Do well to have loads of fun. Also, you can also be a part of this show. Do well to turn on the notification button, subscribe to our channel, follow us across all our social media platforms, so that when we drop videos like this, you get to see it firsthand. All right, we'll be looking in three different newspapers for the day. Firstly, we'll be looking into the Nation's newspaper, today being the 12th day, Friday 2024. Let's look at what the stories have for us. We see at the top story here, Fubara keeps mum after meeting Tinubu. Details of the story is found on page 6 of the Nation's newspaper. Uzodima's inauguration, a celebration of people. Details is found on page 27. We see here it says, expert in cautious optimism on CBN's bank shake-up. Details is found on page 2 of the Nation's newspaper. We see how the banner story here reads, anxiety in 7 states as Supreme Court delivers judgment. Sub-story under that reads, its decision day on governorship poll results in Ebonyi, Cross River, orders at Apex Court. Another sub-story under that reads, Umar Eno triumphs. It is found on page 27 of the Nation's newspaper. We see at the bottom story here reads, Mbala she's out Labour Party candidate Edeoga. It is found on page 27. Jonathan loses elder sister. This is found also on page 27, and that's all be taken on the Nation's newspaper. All right, let's look in and see what the Daily Sun newspaper has for us. We see at the top story here reads, burial law, Soludo Catholic Church on war path. Sub-story under that reads, respect yourself, Archbishop Okeke warns governor. It is found on page 37 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Judgment day for governors. Sub-story under that reads, Supreme Court rules today on Ebonyi, Abia, Cross River, Lagos, Zamfara, Bauchi, Kano, Plateau, Guba petition. Another sub-story under that reads, dismisses APC, YPP, NNPP's appeal against Akwa Ibom governor. Reserve judgments for Ogun, Adamawa. It is found on page 6 and page 8 of the Daily Sun newspaper. We see here, better Edu, don't spare anybody involved. Obi tells Tinubu. Details of the story is found on page 7 of the Daily Sun newspaper. We see at the bottom story here reads, US hands over anti-human trafficking office to Lagos government. This is found on page 28 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Tinubu approves committee to revive Ajaokuta steel plant. This is found on page 28. My book unveils untold story of Buhari's 8 years in office. Femi Adesina. Tinubu, Jonathan, Osibanjo go on to grace book launch. This is found on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Wike issues threats over Abuja light rails. It is found on page 28, and that's all we'll be taking on the Daily Sun newspaper. All right, lastly, the newspaper, the Daily for today, we're looking at the Vanguard newspaper. Let's see the headlines that they have for us. We see at the top story here reads, 2024 budget, how we settled for 800 naira to dollar exchange rate, says federal government. This is found on page 2 of the Vanguard newspaper. Supreme Court upholds election of Akwa Ibom government. It is found on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. Nigeria can't make progress without true federalism, says Ubong Atta. We see at the lead story here reads, Edugate, APC government, Peter Obi backs Tinubu on probe. Sub-story under that reads, governors ask Nigeria to be patient, says Tinubu will take final decision after investigation. Another top story under that reads, APC professionals support president's move to send strong signals to government officials. Details of the story is found in the page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. We see here, new bank CEOs will boost confidence, says NESA, ASSBIFI analyst. It is found on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. No grief for anybody. Exactly, this is a slogan that is trending in this 2024. No grief for anybody. You no grief for anybody. I no grief for anybody. All right, still on the newspaper, it says no grief for anybody. Lawyers fault police cautions as army adopts slogan to fight insurgents. It is found on page 4 of the Vanguard newspaper. Anambra burial laws must be strictly obeyed. Soludo warns communities. This is found on page 11. We see how the last story here reads 32 years old bank staff commits suicide over harsh economy. Details is found on page 7. That's a very sad one. Suicide shouldn't be an option for us to indulge in. To whatever you are going through, there's someone that is going through worse situation than that. Look for somebody to air your problems, to speak out and let people know what you're going through. Help would come your way. Suicide should not be an option and should never be an option. All right, that's all we'll be taking for the Vanguard newspaper. We get to get the reactions of people in the streets. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning.
I would like your thoughts on this sad headline that reads 32-year-old bank staff commits suicide over harsh economy.
Okay. 32 years old bank staff
just an ordinary
commits suicide over harsh economy. Well, many things could be responsible for that. Once looking at it from spiritual perspective, check whether there is history of that in their family, which is not out of it. It might not be out of it, so you consider that. But outside that, the economy, this is a sign that things are not well.
Things are getting
very hard. But not just how do we. The question now is how do we stop another person from committing suicide?
Exactly. A very good question.
The economy is bad. Then the need for orientation. Like last time we were here, I said something about. I made mention of economy, a lack of employment. I even mentioned the type of education we get now. Let us inculcate skill acquisition in our curriculum. Me personally, I don't like working for anybody. Civil service, you work. I told you somebody came here looking for paper that made mention, that is where they wrote about when they will pay their pension. So imagine people graduating every year, thousands of students,
not having work.
The moment you remember you're going into the labor market, you look hopeless because many people were there before you. So you know the favor, the connection you must have to secure a job. So just waiting to work for people. Let Nigerian government inculcate skill acquisition in our vocational in our curriculum, so that if you graduate, you get something to do, learn skill, learn trade, and there is need for empowerment.
Because all these angles too bring money.
Yes.
Makes us survive.
Yes. So another point is this. Nobody is free from the harsh economy. If everybody begin to take his or her own life, who will remain? Let us always see the future bright. What, as you are now, what you tag your future to be is what it will be.
Exactly.
Failure is not final. The fact that it seems you are failing today does not mean you are a failure. You are the one that. This girl now failed because she told us that he has failed. Nobody will. If you are coming here now, I don't know how many times you fell on the road, but you managed to eat here. Good. People will only know that you are down when you say, "Hey, I can't move. Oh, come and help me."
Or if you fall and get up.
If you fall and get up, clean up your days. The next person didn't know what happened last 5 minutes. Are you getting me? So, taking your life is not the best. See future. The future will be always bright, depending on what you target. If it's hard today, just do your own. Leave the rest for God, because I still believe there is God. And God has a way of intervening if you call upon Him. So taking life is not the best. But this will send a message to Nigerian government, to the managers of our economy, that work needs to be done.
Exactly. I wanted to ask, what exactly is the government supposed to do in this situation, especially to the family of this bereaved?
You can't say, if you say government go visit them or give them money, no. It means people will begin to die for their government, for their family to get money. The only suggestion I have is, I've said one vocational this thing. The number two is, since we have many graduates not working, jobless graduates, if you allow me to say that, unemployed graduates, not that they don't want to work, then if government can empower them, a kind of soft loan to start something, I think it will ease this.
So once they graduate, they get something to follow.
So hey, if you can't work, if you don't get to work, or if you don't like to work, government can empower you. Maybe take this 2 million and start something.
Okay, but with the look of things now, the way our economy be, and with the look of our government, now, do you think that thing can be possible? Can it be implemented?
It can be possible if let me use the case of River State government as an example. I heard that the governor gave state civil servants 100,000 for Christmas. Before now, do you believe it's possible? Did you believe it's possible? So how many graduates do we have? So if they can do it, so government can do it if they want. There is nothing government will want to do that they cannot do unless they are not determined.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Please, I would like your thoughts on this story on the Nation's newspaper. Anxiety in 7 states as Supreme Court delivers judgment. It regards that governorship election petition that has been on since last year. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, what I have to say is just that in Nigeria, sometimes the judgment we expect may not come out the way people believe, and I believe that yes, as the judgment will go on, maybe all of them may not skate through due to one thing or the other, best known to them. I believe the court know the best, and I know that is what I know.
Okay. Do you think the government, the courts, rather, do you think they are being partial in their judgments?
Yes, sometimes the court are being partial based on certain things we have observed in this country, so we believe so.
Okay. One last question, please. In these 7 states, do you think, as these governors are being put in seat, do you think, if since they've stayed in this seat for the past over 6 months now, if the court now declares that they should be removed, knowing how the country is at the moment, do you think they would agree to step down from that seat?
Yes, they don't have choice. This is Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. And when once Supreme Court has given judgment, nobody can go against that. And I believe that all of them may not skate through.
Exactly, but remember, there have been a time when the Supreme Court made a declaration for a person to be released. Let's use Nnamdi Kanu for an example. The Supreme Court give a verdict that he should be released, but the federal government still held him in the DSS custody. Don't you think the governorship candidates that would be asked to step down for the next person, do you think they would follow that same directive and not want to step down?
Yes, it's not possible because in Nnamdi Kanu case is completely different from a governorship and elected position.
Okay.
In Nigeria here, at least by the grace of God, the last time I checked, no governor that has been declared by Supreme Court that remains there in the next 48 hours. I have not seen it. I don't know if you have witnessed any. But as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen. So in Nnamdi Kanu case is completely different from when we talk of a governorship
case.
That is it.
Some time ago during the 2023 presidential Labour Party candidate Peter Obi, when he had a petition, and the Anambra State governor, when he was still governor, he had a petition that ran for over a year, and later they asked that he maintain the governorship seat. Do you think that this case would be finalized today, or there will be issues that will make it be adjourned till another time?
Yes, it is the case. It is the court of the any matter that is before the jurisdiction, the court jurisdiction. They know the best. But I believe that once they give a verdict, it stands so long as Supreme Court is concerned, and that is it.
Okay, one last question. Do you think, what's your view on the Supreme Court and other courts ruling about election petition, holding it this far? Don't you think there should be a limit of at least 1 month to 2 months? They shouldn't be shifting the date. Do you think this shifting dates till this long period of time is okay or not?
Sometimes it has to take this longer time because they deal with what the Constitution said, and sometimes because of the paperwork and all the rest, definitely it may go beyond what we expect. So within this limit is not much. It's okay because of the paperwork and the Constitution permits to this, and that is why sometimes it's okay as for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, this is where we come to the end of the show for today. I am Obed Jerry, your host for today, and you too can also be a part of this show. Do have to subscribe, turn on the notification button, follow us across all our social media platforms so that when we drop videos like this, you get to see it. This has been the newspaper review here on TAF TV. Thank you.